Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grooving and Giving in Early Retirement. I'm Radhika, and thank you for spending your time with me today. I left my career in the middle of the pandemic, a 23-year-long career, to focus on my passion, a childhood for children, a not-for-profit that I started back in 2012. And this year, my organization celebrated its 13th anniversary. We have two strategies. We do recurring projects with children, where we do projects every quarter, every year, whatever, there's a rhythm to it. And then we have travel with a purpose. I'm in Cambodia, and we tried really hard to do a project here in Cambodia. And sometimes it doesn't always work out. Let me share that story with you. We arrived in Siem Reap, and one of the things we did was we asked our hotel receptionist to put us in touch with any organization, a not-for-profit, that could use our help. We are a small grassroots volunteer-based organization, so our budgets aren't really big. We were put in touch with a community organization about 20 kilometers north of Siem Reap. And I was given the number to a teacher who worked there, with whom I traded lots of messages in the first 2 days that we arrived. I learned that the children come from really poor families, and some of the families are handicapped and also have HIV. So it seemed like something that we wanted to really collaborate with, some organization that we wanted to collaborate with. We decided that the best thing we would do is to buy notebooks, pens, and pencils for children. You see, this school in this community teaches English because they believe that teaching English to the children in Cambodia can open really great doors for their career, for their future. And with the tourism that's here in Siem Reap with Angkor Wat, which is where I am today, there's a real possibility of these children having gainful employment. And we agreed with that mission. So we met with the founder of the organization, the teacher, and the project's manager. But as part of the due diligence, we wanted to know quite a lot more than we could learn from their social media pages. And in fact, the only social media page they had was Facebook. And we looked at their Facebook page, and we found that they weren't making social media posts on a regular basis. And in fact, one of the posts they had made was I think about 2 years ago or 3 years ago. There weren't enough posts in 2025. And this is where the rubber meets the road. Due diligence is one of the most important things that we can do for our donors. We need to be accountable to our donors, and we want to make sure that we spend their money wisely. So when we met with them, I had a laundry list of questions like, how do you get your funding? Who makes donations? How do you spend your money? What's your budget? All I learned was that the founder was a tour guide who had started this organization. Now, please keep in mind that we have been in other places before where our guide has asked us if we'd be willing to help children in their neck of the woods. And we have done that. Just as recently, we did that in Nepal when we climbed Everest Base Camp for the children. We met with the gentleman and his team, and we thought the meeting went well. We went as far as to go and price out how much the cost of the notebooks would be. For 100 pages, 120 pages, 160 pages, 200 pages, how much would the pens cost? How much would the pencils cost? I was already in the process of putting a project proposal together, something that we put together for every project and requires the approval of our officers. I wanted to put that together and send it back to my officers in the United States so I could get their approval. Well, sometimes things just don't work out. We got a message from the organization out of nowhere saying they no longer wanted our help. And I think there were a couple of questions that may have prompted that response. I asked the organization for their tax ID number and their license. Generally speaking, in every country, an organization has a not-for-profit status. And if they don't, they'll tell you that they don't and the reason for why they don't have it. For instance, in Tanzania, it can take years to get your tax-exempt ID certificate, and sometimes there are other things involved in terms of getting the inspectors to move faster. In this case, I was told that we would get all that information. And then when I asked for it, I got a message back saying, we no longer need your support. Cambodia is a country where there are lots of children on the streets. And in fact, one of the code of conducts at Angkor Wat says, do not give children money We don't want them to get into the habit of begging. We want them to go to school. And the government does provide school for the children. So it was a little bit surprising to me that we got this message. But you know what? Sometimes you gotta listen to the universe. And so we are not able to do a project in Cambodia, but that's not going to stop us from trying in our next country, which is Vietnam. We are already, even though we're not going to be in Vietnam for another 2 or 3 weeks, we are already starting to lay down the groundwork. Doing a travel with a purpose project takes a lot of effort, and it starts well before we even arrive in that country. It takes a lot of talking. It takes a lot of research, going and digging in social media, looking at a website if one is available, talking, asking questions, talking to the teachers or the founder or the staff, whoever. It takes a lot of effort, and we owe it to our donors to do all the due diligence we possibly can to get the best prices, but to also know that the items we give are going to directly benefit the children. And one of the things we do is we hand over the items directly to the children. We don't leave it. We don't give and go. We spend our own money. Every volunteer that does a project with us spends their own money to travel. We do not spend the donors' money on anything other than items for the children. While this project did not work out, it's a good lesson. Be warned that when you travel, you really want to do your diligence before you hand over your money to anyone. So I thought we weren't going to be able to do a project in Cambodia. And as luck would have it, we were in Mondolakiri. We were volunteering with elephants at Elephant Valley Project. And we talked to our hotel and we talked to our tuk-tuk driver and asked them if they knew of any orphanages in the Mondolakiri area. And we wanted to do something in a smaller place rather than Phnom Penh, which would obviously have a lot of organizations to collaborate with. And the reason for that is a lot of times in the bigger cities, the resources, there are far more resources in the bigger cities than in the smaller places. So Mondolakiri is pretty small. And when we talked to our hotel and our tuk-tuk driver, we learned that there was an orphanage there for Bunang people. So not Khmer, but Bunang people. And there were 30 children living in this orphanage. And so we decided to do a project with them. And we provided notebooks, pens and pencils, as school will start in Cambodia on November 1st for children in secondary school and primary schools officially. We also provided hygiene items like soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, and we provided laundry powder. And we also provided 2 bags of rice, so about 100 kilos, which is slightly over 200 pounds. And we spent time with the children. So we went to the orphanage 4 times in the few days that we were there in Mondolakiri and spent time with the children. Of course, there's a language barrier, but our tuk-tuk driver, Mania, was nice enough to translate for us and help us spend time with the children and learn of their interests and what they like. So if you are traveling and you want to do something good in the world, take a few days to do some good in the world, do it. It'll make your travels far more memorable, far more purposeful, and you will make a difference in a child's life beyond what you think was possible. It means so much to them that you come and you spend time with them, you share love with them. So please, I encourage you to make your travels purposeful. This is Radhika, and I am talking about grieving and giving in early retirement. Thank you for watching. Until next time. Akun, which means thank you in Khmer. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Ding, ding, ding. You know the drill. Bye-bye.